On a freezing New York night, Seth Meyers stepped onto the stage and looked Donald Trump dead in the eyes and revealed a secret that the president had secretly fathered his youngest son with his own daughter, Ivanka. What started as Trump's cocky public challenge quickly turned into the most savage, jaw-dropping confrontation in television history, ripping the mask off Trump's carefully built empire and forcing the world to stare straight into the darkest, most disturbing corner of the first family. It was a regular afternoon in the Oval Office when Donald Trump's phone lit up with the kind of crap he usually ignored. He was scrolling fast like always, half reading tweets and posts, when one thread stopped him cold. The rumor had been floating around for days, but now it was everywhere. People straight up claiming his youngest son Barron wasn't really his and Melania's kid at all. They were saying the boy was actually the son of Trump and his own daughter Ivanka. Trump stared at the screen, his jaw tightening. At first he snorted and called it total bullshit, the dumbest fake news he'd seen in years. But the comments kept coming, the shares piled up, and the memes were already flying. It wasn't some fringe account anymore. Regular people were talking about it like it might actually be true. That hit different. He didn't waste a second. Trump grabbed the secure line and barked at his assistant to get Ivanka on the phone right now. When she answered, he jumped straight in. "Ivanka, what the hell is this garbage I'm seeing about Barron? You got anything to say about it?" The line went completely quiet. He could hear her breathing, but she didn't say one word. Then, click, she hung up on him, just like that. Trump sat frozen for a beat, staring at the phone in his hand. Then he slammed it down so hard the whole desk shook. "That silence says it all," he growled under his breath. For the first time, the rumor wasn't just noise. It was personal, and it pissed him off like nothing else had in months. That same night, Trump made up his mind. He wasn't letting some late-night comedian turn his family into a running joke. No press release, no staffer smoothing it over. He was handling this himself, raw. He fired up a quick live stream on Truth Social and X, camera right in his face, no script, no filter. "Seth Meyers," he said, pointing straight at the lens, "if you think this rumor crap is so damn funny, let's make it real. You and me, live, one-on-one. No edits, no safety net. I win, you shave your head bald right there on camera for the whole country to see. You win. I apologize publicly, right in front of everybody. Your move, Seth." He wrapped it in 30 seconds flat, hit post, and leaned back with that familiar smirk. The video exploded instantly. Notifications flooded in. People couldn't believe the sitting president had just thrown down like some barroom dare. No bullshit, no middleman. Back in New York, Seth Meyers was kicking back in his office when the alert hit his phone. He clicked the link and watched Trump's face fill the screen. For a second, he just sat there, half grinning, half shocked. "Holy shit," he muttered. His producer came bursting through the door. "You catching this? Trump's calling you out live on national TV?" Seth leaned forward, eyes locked on the replay. "Yeah, I'm seeing it, and I'm taking it." He picked up his phone and dialed the control room. "Book the date. We're going live with this thing. But here's the deal. I need real proof, not just punchlines. Pull every timeline, every old photo, anything from inside sources. Keep it under wraps for now." Seth hung up and started digging through his files immediately. Seth was already deep into it the next morning. His team had been working through the night, and around 9 a.m. a secure email dropped into his inbox from an anonymous family source, someone close enough to the Trumps to have real dirt. It was a short video clip from a private 2016 party, just 30 seconds long. The camera was shaky, but clear enough. There was Trump and Ivanka standing way too close, bodies almost touching, in a quiet corner away from everyone else. Then Ivanka leaned in and said it, soft but unmistakable. "You're my everything, Daddy." The way she said it wasn't normal daughter talk. It lingered, too intimate, too heavy. Seth hit replay at least 10 times, zooming in on their faces, rewinding the audio. His stomach tightened. This wasn't some blurry meme. This felt real. He leaned back in his chair and told his producer, "We hold this until the middle of the show. Not the beginning. Let him get comfortable first, then we drop it like a bomb. If this thing blows up, it needs to hit when the whole country is watching." On the other side of the country, Trump wasn't wasting time either. He called an emergency family meeting at Mar-a-Lago that same afternoon. Ivanka, Melania, and even young Barron were all there, sitting around the long table in the private dining room. The air was thick. Trump stood at the head, arms crossed, face hard. "Listen up," he said, voice low and sharp. "This rumor bullshit is getting out of hand. If any of you leak one word, talk to the press, or even look like you're feeding this crap, you're out. Cut off. No more name, no more money, no more family. Gone." His eyes landed hard on Ivanka. She went pale, her hands gripping the edge of the table, but she didn't say a single word. She just stared down at the wood, lips pressed tight. Melania stayed silent too, but the look she gave Trump was ice cold. Barron shifted uncomfortably in his seat, too young to fully get it, but old enough to feel the tension. It was the first real crack inside the family right there in that room. Trump drawing a hard line, and Ivanka's silence saying more than any denial ever could. The meeting ended fast. No hugs, no goodbyes, just heavy footsteps and slammed doors. The days flew by in a blur of rehearsals, leaked headlines, and nonstop chatter on every channel. By the night of the live showdown, the studio in New York felt like a pressure cooker. Security was everywhere. Cameras were already rolling for the pre-show feed. Seth stood backstage adjusting his tie, heart pounding harder than he wanted to admit. Then the side door opened, and Trump walked in with his team, suit perfect, hair just right, that confident swagger turned up to 11. The two men stepped onto the stage at the exact same moment from opposite sides. No handshake, no polite nod. They just stopped a few feet apart, eyes locked. Trump leaned in close before the microphones went hot, his voice a low growl only Seth could hear. "You're gonna regret this, Seth. Big time." Seth didn't flinch. He gave a small, calm smile and answered right back, "We'll see who regrets it first." The audience was already packed and buzzing. Phones were out recording everything, even though they weren't supposed to. The crew counted down in the control room. 10 seconds. The lights hit full bright. Both men took their seats under the hot glare, and millions were tuning in live across the country. For the first 10 minutes, it felt almost like a regular late-night segment. Seth started light, cracking a couple jokes about Trump's hair and his love for big crowds. Trump fired back with his usual swagger, calling Seth a lightweight comedian who only knew how to punch down. The audience laughed here and there, some nervous chuckles mixed in. Then Seth shifted gears fast. The smile dropped from his face. He looked straight at Trump and said, "You've always said, family is everything, right? You repeat it all the time. So how do you explain all these rumors saying Barron isn't really your son with Melania? That he's actually your kid with Ivanka?" The words landed like a slap. The laughter in the room cut off instantly. People sat up straighter. Trump's smirk twitched for a split second, but he recovered quick, leaning forward with a chuckle that sounded forced. "Seth, that's the sickest, most disgusting fake news I've ever heard. You should be ashamed for even bringing that garbage on TV." The audience murmured, some nodding, some looking shocked. Seth didn't back down. He kept his eyes locked on Trump, waiting for more. But Seth wasn't done warming up. He took a breath and went straight for the throat. His voice stayed calm, but every word was sharp. "Mr. President, let me ask you directly. You married your own daughter, didn't you?" The question hung in the air like a bomb that had just been dropped. The entire studio went dead quiet. No one coughed. No one moved. Trump froze mid-sentence, his mouth half open. For 8 long seconds, he just sat there completely still. The camera zoomed in tight on his face. You could see a bead of sweat roll down his forehead under the bright lights. His usual confident grin was gone. This was the first time anyone had ever seen Donald Trump look truly rattled on live television. The audience stared, phones shaking in their hands as they recorded. Millions at home leaned closer to their screens, mouths open. The silence stretched on, thick and uncomfortable. Trump finally snapped out of it. He let out a harsh, gritted laugh that didn't reach his eyes. "You've got nothing but a big mouth, Seth. That's all this is. Just words. If you're so sure, show me the proof. Put up or shut up." His voice had an edge now, louder than before, like he was trying to take back control of the room. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Every eye in the studio was glued to the two men. Seth didn't flinch. He gave a small nod, his expression serious. "All right, I'll show you right now." He glanced toward the control room, signaling that the real fireworks were about to start. The audience held its breath. Trump's eyes narrowed, daring him to follow through. Seth didn't waste any time. He picked up a small remote from the desk and clicked it once. Behind them, the big studio screen lit up with a giant framed photo. There it was. Donald Trump and Ivanka dressed like a bride and groom, standing close, smiling at each other like it was the happiest day of their lives. The image filled the entire screen in high definition. The studio went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. People in the audience leaned forward, eyes wide, some covering their mouths. No one was laughing anymore. Trump stared at the photo for a long second, his face hardening. Then he threw his head back and let out a big, loud laugh. "Look at that," he said, pointing at the screen. "People will believe anything they see these days. That's Photoshop 101, Seth. You're showing fake pictures now? Pathetic." But his laugh sounded a little too loud, a little too forced. The sweat was still visible on his forehead from earlier. Before Seth could respond, Trump turned toward the camera and waved his hand. "Enough of this nonsense. Let's get the truth right here, live. Put Ivanka on video call right now." The control room scrambled. A few seconds later, Ivanka Trump's face appeared on the big screen, looking surprised and tense. She was in what looked like a fancy hotel room, her voice shaky when she spoke. "Dad, what is this? This is crazy. This whole thing is ridiculous." Seth jumped in fast, not giving her room to breathe. "Ivanka, quick question. In that 2016 private party clip, why did you call your father my everything in that tone?" It didn't sound like normal daughter talk. The words hit hard. Ivanka's face went pale on the screen. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out at first. Then, without another word, she reached forward and cut the call. The screen went black. The studio exploded with gasps and shocked murmurs. People were whispering loudly now. That sudden hang-up felt like a confession in itself. Trump's face tightened, his jaw clenching as he glared at Seth. Seth stayed calm. He clicked the remote again. "Since we're talking facts, let's look at this timeline." A new graphic filled the screen, 12 photos arranged in order with clear dates underneath. The first showed Melania when she was supposedly pregnant with Barron. Then came family events right after the birth. Trump and Ivanka standing unusually close at parties, holidays, and private dinners. One photo from just weeks after Barron's birth showed Ivanka holding the baby while Trump looked on with an expression that felt too intense for a grandfather. Another captured them whispering together at a 2017 gala while Melania stood a few feet away, looking separate. The dates lined up in cold, clear numbers. Trump's face turned red. He slammed his hand on the arm of the chair and raised his voice. "You're destroying my family, Seth. This is disgusting. You're making up stories with old pictures and trying to twist everything. My family is off limits." His voice was louder now, almost shouting. The calm, smirking Trump from the beginning of the show was cracking. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Some looked excited by the drama, others genuinely stunned. The tension in the room had jumped to another level. Seth kept his eyes on Trump, not raising his voice. I'm not destroying anything, Mr. President. I'm just showing what's already out there. You wanted proof. This is what people have been talking about. He paused, letting the timeline stay on screen a few extra seconds so everyone could take it in. Trump was breathing heavier now, his fingers tapping rapidly on the desk. Trump's face was turning a deep shade of red, and the audience murmurs were getting louder. He suddenly slammed his fist hard on the desk, the sound cracking through the studio like a gunshot. "Stop it! Just stop right there!" he shouted, his voice booming. "I'll prove this is all lies. Bring it out." He waved angrily at one of his staff members standing off stage. The guy hurried forward with a plain white envelope and handed it to Trump. Trump ripped it open and waved the papers in the air. "Here's the real proof, Seth. DNA test results. Official. Barron is my son with Melania, 100%. This rumor is dead." He tossed the papers onto the desk in front of Seth with a smug look, like he had just delivered the knockout punch. Seth picked up the documents and scanned them quickly. Then he held them up toward the camera. "Mr. President, these papers are still warm from the printer. The ink on the signature is smudged because it's fresh. You had these printed yesterday, didn't you? This isn't a real lab result. It's something your team typed up last night." He turned the page so the camera could zoom in on the wet ink and the date stamp. The studio erupted. Gasps and shocked laughs mixed together. Trump's eyes widened for a split second before he recovered, but the damage was done. His proof had just been torn apart live on national television. Before Trump could fire back, Seth clicked the remote again. "And since we're talking real evidence, here's something you can't print in your office." A new video started playing on the big screen. It was short, grainy, but the audio was crystal clear. An older man, the family's former private doctor, sat in what looked like his home office. He spoke quietly but firmly. "I was there for years. One night I overheard Ivanka in a private room with her father. She said, 'Dad, I'll do anything to make you happy.' The way she said it, it wasn't normal. It stuck with me." The video ended. The silence that followed was heavy. Then Trump exploded. He shoved his chair back and stood up fast, pointing his finger straight at Seth. "You son of a bitch! How dare you drag my family into this circus? You're making my own daughter sound like some kind of..." His voice cracked with raw anger. He was breathing hard, chest rising and falling. The calm, in-control Trump from the start of the show was gone. This was pure rage, live and unfiltered. The audience was stunned. Some cheering, some looking genuinely uncomfortable at how far things had gone. Seth stood up too. The producers didn't cut away. No one stopped them. Both men grabbed handheld microphones and stepped away from the desk, facing each other just a few feet apart in the middle of the stage. No scripts, no safety net, completely raw. The camera followed them tight. Seth spoke first, his voice steady but sharp. "You're the one who set this up, Mr. President. You challenged me to come here live. Now you're mad because the questions are getting too close? Are you really that scared of the truth that you had to bet I'd shave my head?" Trump stepped even closer, his face inches from Seth's, eyes blazing. "Scared? I'm not scared of anything, especially not a hack like you. You're finished after tonight. You'll be shaving that head of yours before you even leave this stage. I guarantee it. You've gone too far, Seth. Way too far." They kept going back and forth, voices rising, no one backing down. "Seth, then why did Ivanka hang up the second I asked about that clip? Why won't you let real questions get answered?" Trump, "Because this is a witch hunt. You're attacking my family because you can't beat me any other way." The exchange lasted nearly 3 full minutes without a single commercial break or cut. The studio audience was on fire, some standing, some yelling encouragement, others just watching in disbelief. Sweat was pouring down both men's faces under the hot lights. It felt less like a talk show and more like a street fight in suits. The tension in the studio was already at breaking point. Seth reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out one last piece of paper. He held it up to the camera. "This is the final thing I have, Mr. President, a screenshot of a text message Ivanka sent you back in 2015. The big screen behind them flashed the message in big, clear letters. "Daddy, I'll always be yours." The entire room went still. Trump took the paper from Seth's hand and read it slowly. For 10 long seconds. The longest silence of the entire night. He didn't say a word. His eyes stayed fixed on the screenshot. The audience held their breath. Cameras zoomed in tight on his face. You could see his jaw working, but no sound came out. Then, in a low, quiet voice that surprised everyone, Trump finally spoke. "Yeah, my daughter loves me more than anything in this world," he said softly, "but not in the way you're trying to twist it." That was it, the most ambiguous answer of the night. The studio exploded. People gasped, some shouted, others started clapping and booing at the same time. The line hung in the air like smoke, not quite a denial, not quite an admission. It left everyone wondering. Trump's calm delivery made it even more unsettling. Seth stood there watching him, letting the words sink in for the millions watching at home. Trump straightened up and pointed at Seth again. "You haven't proven a damn thing tonight. Nothing. So now it's time. Shave your head, right here, live, like we agreed." His voice tried to sound strong, but there was a slight shake in it. Seth shook his head slowly, looking Trump dead in the eyes. "No, you haven't apologized like you promised if I brought real questions. We're not done here." He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The simple refusal hit harder than any shout. The camera cut straight to Trump. For the first time all night, his confident mask slipped. He forced a smile, but it looked tight and uncomfortable. The clear sign of a man who knew he hadn't fully won. The audience could see it. The country could see it. Trump had walked into this challenge expecting to dominate, but now he was standing there with no clean victory. Neither man moved for a long moment. Seth didn't reach for any razor. Trump didn't demand an apology again. They just stood there, staring at each other in complete silence for 15 full seconds. The only sound was the low hum of the studio lights and the nervous breathing of the audience. It felt like the whole world was holding its breath with them. Then the big screen behind them lit up with simple white text. "Who won? Who lost? Leave your thoughts below." The red on-air light finally blinked off. The live broadcast was over. Seth and Trump turned and walked off the stage in opposite directions without saying another word. No handshake, no final jab. Just two men heading different ways after one of the most intense nights in recent television history. Trump disappeared backstage with his team. Seth walked toward his producers, who were already buzzing with excitement and shock. But the real story was only beginning. Within minutes, social media exploded. Clips of the frozen silence, the photoshopped wedding photo, Ivanka hanging up, the DNA papers, and especially Trump's quiet, "not in the way you're trying to twist it," were everywhere. News channels replayed the moments on loop. People argued in bars, at home, and online. Some saying Seth had destroyed Trump. Others claiming Trump had stayed cool under fire and exposed Seth as desperate. Family dinners turned into shouting matches. Late-night shows the next day talked about nothing else. In the end, no one shaved their head. No public apology was made. The rumor was never proven true, but it had been dragged into the brightest spotlight possible. Neither man walked away with a clear win. Yet the confrontation itself became instant history, a raw, unfiltered moment where power, family, and truth collided live on television. America couldn't stop talking about it, and weeks later they still weren't done. The gauntlet had been thrown. The challenge had been answered. And the country was left with one unforgettable night that no one would forget anytime soon.